we're back to, so yeah, water balloon, microwave, it gets warm. I bet I can make some money with this. So my dad looks into your grandfather. How do you turn, how does this thing really work? What can I do? And he figures out that if you vacuum seal the bag, well, if you put water in a bag and seal it, it will get hot and it'll stay hot for a while. But if you vacuum seal it, it'll stay hot for hours. And if you put a piece of foam in here with water and vacuum seal it, it'll stay warm for 4 or 5 hours at a set temperature, and so you can put it on your back and walk around, or so it's mobile heat therapy. This wasn't a thing at this point in 1986, I believe. So the problem is, my dad, your grandfather, has no money, which is pretty standard problem, and they don't have any money, and so bench is not gonna fit. Oh, damn it. So close. So doesn't have any money, and my dad, your grandfather's brother, says, "Hey, I know this guy that I go to church with." So, by the way, your grandfather's 31 at this point, 32, 33, I don't know, early mid-30s. And so he says, "I know this guy I go to church with, and he's 10 years younger than your grandfather, but his dad just died, and I left him some money." I don't think it was, maybe back then, maybe 50,000, which would be I don't know, $150,000, $200,000 today. Maybe he would have got in today's money, as I'm saying, it's $250,000 from life insurance from his father's death. So, they meet, and the grandfather tells this man, we'll call him B. I don't want to use anybody's names, in case. So he meets B, and he tells B about this idea, and he shows it to him, and B goes, "Oh, I like that. That's good. That's an interesting idea." And he said, "Well, I need money for a patent attorney, and we need to get this machine that can make these things I'm a much fat. I think at this point he's got a vacuum sealer bought from Walmart or something. He's just making them to show people." So B says, "All right," and so he becomes his investor and partner. And one thing great about B was that he was a salesman. Your grandfather, he could sell, but because of what happened in his childhood, he was very kind of shy. He did not have a lot of confidence. He very much thought very little of himself. And so, but B has that's not a problem for him. He likes to talk. People like him. He's very outgoing, like me. And so they start this company, and off they go. They get the equipment. They set up the business, and they have enough money to do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And they start getting some orders, and they start selling them the stuff, and it's actually going pretty well. They take it to some doctors, and back then, Walmart would actually let you come into their store and have a booth and sell your product in their store. Yeah, it's cool. And so they did that. It was great, making them, and nobody's getting rich, but clearly there's something here. And so now they need to find another investor, a big investor. Because now they need, people are getting interested enough that they need, they're going to need a machine They're going to need a warehouse. They're going to need people to, hire to make these things. So they go out looking for a real investor. And they find this guy. He was from North Carolina, and he had made significant money in the screen printing business. I think one of his customers was like Disney. Because I remember when I was a kid, he dropped off some sweaters and shirts with Disney stuff on them. Anyways, so he gets involved. He helps them, set the thing up like a real business. And okay. Anyways, I'm gonna set it up like a real business, and they do, and they go out and they get some sales and orders, and they start making it, and away they go. This is happening. The dream is coming true. Like the thing that your grandfather envisioned is happening, and your grandmother's so happy because it looks like they're gonna have enough money to pay their bills, and she doesn't have to go back to work. She gets to stay at home with her babies. It's like awesome. Yeah, everything's working out good. And then one day, I go to your mom and your grandmother and me and brother and sisters go to his office, and we see his product, but it's made by a different company. And that's not good. Somebody had saw it and ripped it off and was selling it in I think like a Dillard's or some company. And they're like, what are we gonna do? Because one thing that happens is these big companies can come and do that, and even though the product was patented, they did not, even though it was patented, these big companies, they can hire lawyers and take you to court and just, bleed you dry. You don't have, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to fight them in court, so they can just wait till you go belly up and then take your product, your patent, buy it for pennies on the dollar, and that's it. You're screwed. So they obviously are going to take them to court. They're going to try, and they have a great case because they hold the patent to it. Well, this big company, which was out of Ohio, says, I'll tell you what, instead of going to court, why don't we buy you? And we'll give you a big pile of money, and we'll buy your company, and you guys can come work for us, and we'll pay you, I want to say, back then like $130,000. This is in the 90s, so that's like probably, $250,000 a year, like by today's money. And we're going to give you, I think, if I understand correctly, but when it was all said and done, the investor partner and your grandfather all ended up at like the peak with like $3 million a piece. Again, this is like mid-late 90s. Mid-90s. So today, again, that'd be like 6, 7. Inflation's a bitch. Okay, so, and the deal is that we got to give it to you, and we're going to give you this money. We can give you a check, but if we do that, you're going to pay taxes on it right out immediately. Which, that kind of money you're talking about, 40+% of it is going through the government. So what we can do is, we'll give you stock in our company. And if you hold on to the stock, you can sell it. You're going to pay 46% tax on every. So you take $1 out, 46 cents of that dollar is going to the government. But if you hold it till I think it's like 60 something, you don't have to pay the taxes. Well, a lot of people do this. It's a way to avoid huge. Yeah. So your grandmother and your grandfather, we went on a little beach trip in North Carolina, and they talked about it, and your grandmother actually said to your grandfather, "Well, you always never wanted to work for yourself, and if you do this, you're going to be working for somebody again." And he said, "I know, but you won't have to worry about money again. We're set." And they both liked that idea. I liked that idea. And so they did it. And I remember we flew, me and your grandmother and grandfather and my brother and sister, we drove Dad to a small private airport because the big company brought their private jet in to pick them up and bring them to Ohio, which is where the company was, to sign and do the deal. I remember we were watching them, and they're walking on the plane, and you could see how excited Dad and B, and the investor guy, was that, the dream is happening. So they went and did it. And, and that was the beginning of a lot of things. To be continued.